Hey everyone, welcome to my tutorial. Today we are going to create this cute little stylized plant and I really hope you will enjoy this one. And if you do, please don't forget to leave that like, and if you're new around here, hit that subscribe. Now let's jump right into empty Blender file, and first of all, let's select the light and the cube and delete them. So press X and choose delete. And now let's press Shift A and we'll start with the mesh and circle. And we're going to create just a small pot, to place the plant in. So let's modify the vertices to something like 12. That should be enough because we'll be using subdivision. Now tab into the edit mode and let's make this smaller. Now I'm not doing realistic proportions right here. This is like half a meter right now. You're welcome to do if you really want this to have to scale, as an indoor plant or something, you're welcome to do whatever dimensions you want. So let's press F to fill and then press E to extrude like this. And then S to scale this up. Now I will press X and delete faces, so this is open. Now let's press Ctrl R and place a loop cut here in the middle, left click and then right click to release. Now this is the easiest way to do the curved surface, because right now I can just press S to scale this up and then Ctrl B to bevel, and you will see how this kind of smooths out the radius in between, and really is the easiest way how to do a surface like this. And finally, I will alt-click the loop at the bottom and do a bevel there. So Ctrl B and do a bevel and reduce the number of cuts with the mouse wheel to 3. And they'll give us some support loops for the subdivision surface modifier. And I'll place one more here near the top. So let me show you first what that does. So let's go to the modifiers panel and let's add first solidify modifier. They'll give us some thickness without actually modifying the geometry, and we can increase the thickness right here. And if you want, you can make it really chunky, so it's stylized. And now I will add another modifier, and there'll be subdivision surface right there, and increase number of levels in the viewport to 2. And now you can see this is quite curved inside, and it's based off this loop right here. But if you want this sharper, you can press Ctrl R here and add another loop cut. And as you move it up and down, you can see how you can make this sharper or less sharp, however you want. So I'm looking for something like this here. And now I'll just tab out, right click and shade smooth. And this is basically the flower pot or the plant pot I'm interested in. And now let's press Shift A and let's add another circle. Tab into the edit mode. Let's press S to scale it down and press G then Z and move it up right about here, and let's press S again to scale it outside and press F to fill. That'll be like a dirt inside the pot. And now let's hold Shift S and snap cursor to select it. It'll snap the cursor to the face and we can tab out and let's start modeling our leaves. If you feel like this is too fast for you or you don't understand some core concepts, make sure to check out my courses. I carefully designed them to take you from beginner skills through low poly illustration all the way to full character illustration, textured environments and much more. And I build the courses as creative projects, each with its own style. And every time there's a new technique or something needs explaining, we stop for a while and you get an in-depth explanation. But in the end, you still get a full project result. So if you're interested, please check out the link in the description. So let's press Shift A and we are going to add a plane. Now tap into the edit mode and press S to scale it down right about here. Now to better see what we are doing, we can go into the local mode. So hit slash on a numpad and now press R, then Y and 90 degrees to rotate this. Let's confirm with enter. And as you can see here, it says local mode. So nothing else is visible here, even though we didn't hide it. We are in the local mode and the slash on a numpad will get you there. And if you want to go back, you just hit the slash on a numpad again. And now let's select these two on top. Press 1 for front view. And let's press E to extrude like this. E again right there. And one more time. Just like this. And now we are going to scale this. So select these and press S then Y to scale them on Y axis. Let's select these two. S then Y, scale them down. And this is now gonna get wider. So press S, scale it up. And let's continue extruding our plant. So let's look from the top by pressing 7 on a numpad. And let's press E then X and extrude. And now we can press Ctrl R to place a cut here in the middle. Right click to release and press S to scale it up. And here we can scale this down a little bit and press G then X, move it outside. And then one more extrusion. Let's press E, then X, and S to scale. Now let's rotate this a little bit and select these two vertices, and press G, then Z, and move them up. And these, let's move them down, and these last two right about here. So this should be okay for a leaf. And now you're welcome to make adjustments. So for example, you can make this a little bit wider here as well, however you want. And now let's press Ctrl R to create the cut in the middle here, like this. And now let's zoom in a little bit, select these two by holding Shift, and press G twice and slide them up, like that. And now we can press A and Alt E and extrude faces along normals and do something like this here. And now hold Ctrl and deselect all of these. Let's look from the front by pressing 1 on a numpad, and we can give this a different shape. So let's press Ctrl R and rotate it like this so it gets thinner towards the end there. And now press 2 for edge select, or go here. Select these two edges by holding Shift and press Ctrl B to bevel, just like that. Now press 1 for vertex select, select this vertex and press G twice to slide it back, and this we're gonna slide towards the front. And now select these three vertices with holding Shift. Now let's look from the front again by pressing 1 on a numpad, and we can enable X-ray view here and just press G, then Z, and move this down. And again, we can copy the shape a little bit, so we can press R to rotate this and make it a little bit deeper down here. Now let's disable the X-ray view, let's step out, and let's go ahead and in the modifiers panel, let's add subdivision surface modifier. Right click, shade smooth, and increase number of levels to 2. And there's your leaf for the plant. Now let's tap into the edit mode, press A to select all, and press G, then X, and move it a little bit like this, so the origin point is on the outside here of the stem. And of course you can modify the shape of the stem. If you think it's too flat here, you can select these vertices, press G, then X, and move them outside a little bit here as well, so you get nicer shape here. And here you can bring this up a little bit, and then press Ctrl R to place a loop cut right there. Let me turn off the X-ray again. And now let's hit slash on a numpad and press S to scale this up. And right about here you can decide whether you want to make the plant leaf a little bit larger, and it's really easy to do. You just again enable X-ray view, select all of these, and just scale them up and move on the X-axis like this. And just turn off the X-ray again. And now let's look from the top by pressing 7 on a numpad, and we can duplicate this all around. So let's press Alt D, that will create a link duplicate, but don't confirm just yet. Press R immediately to enable rotation, and then let's enter 60 degrees for the rotation, and let's confirm. And now without clicking anywhere, we can press Shift R to repeat the same operation and do that a few times. So this is a very easy way how to do like a circular array. And again, these are all linked, so if I modify one of them, all of them will change, so it's quite handy. So now tab out. We can again select one of these along the X-axis, press Alt D, then Z to move this up, and S to scale. And again, press 7 on a numpad, press R and 30 and confirm. And now we're going to do the similar thing here. So press Alt D, then R and 60, confirm, and Shift R a few times to replicate. And now you have a nice plant here, and you can do further adjustments. So for example, you can manually adjust some of the angles or rotations or scale of these leaves so they're not looking so uniform, unless the uniformity is what you are going for. With the stylized plant like this, it's totally possible to leave it like that. So I'll press R, then Y twice to rotate this around Y-axis locally and do some of these adjustments here and there. And same for these. And then some of these will be a little bit larger, and some of these can be a little bit smaller, so we get like more natural look. Now if you see overlaps like this and you don't like them, you can either press G then X twice to move them locally on X-axis, but as you remember, these are all linked. So if you tab into the edit mode, press A to select all, and then move locally on X-axis, so press G then X twice, you will see all of them will adjust their position according to their origin point, and you will get a little bit cleaner result if you wish. So let me move this down a little bit. Okay, and now I'll just select all and hold Shift and parent to the path right there, press Ctrl P and parent to object. And let's now go to the render settings. And in the new Blender 4.2, we have ray tracing for Eevee. So if you go to the material preview, you can enable ray tracing and you will immediately see the difference with the shadows and how the light is approximated. But I will still use cycles for the final render. So let me hold Shift S, reset cursor to world origin. Let's press Shift A. Let's add a plane and scale it up. And let's hit 0 on a numpad for the camera view. Select the camera. And I will press G, then Z, move it up a little bit. Then G, then Z twice to move it closer. And I don't like the angle. So let me bring up the side panel using N. And I will, in the view menu, enable camera to view. So now I'm able to place the camera using the viewport controls, something like this here. Okay, I really like that. So let me disable this. And now let's switch to cycles. I will enable GPU and denoising, and again GPU for the denoising as well. And modify this to something like 512 samples should be enough. And to make it a little bit easier, let's press Ctrl B and limit the preview only for the camera bounce. And let's go to render preview right here, or hold Z and switch to rendered. And now let's press Shift A and let's add a light, an area light, press G then Z and move it up here. Make it a little bit larger so we get nice soft shadows. And we can increase the power to something like 200. And then play with the position of this area light so we get some more backlight here. I really like that. And let's expand the timeline here, and I will switch this to shader editor. And now we can select the leaf and create a new material there. Now let's call it leaf. And first we can just choose, some green color right there. Something like this, maybe something darker and more towards the blue. Like this, and we can go a little bit wilder with the roughness. Now I really want this to be stylized, almost like a plasticky. I really like this style lately, so something like this. But now I want to make this a little bit more sophisticated to give this more, color. So let's press Shift A and let's search for ambient occlusion right here. And now you need to enable Node Wrangler to be able to use shortcuts for the previews. So let's go edit, preferences. And since Blender 4.2, if you don't have this add-on installed, you need to go to get extensions and search for Wrangler. It won't find it for me here because I already have it in my add-ons. So just go get extensions, search for Wrangler like this, and you will see the Node Wrangler. You click install and then you will find it in the add-ons. If I search here, you can see I have it right there and it's activated. The checkbox is on. So that's all you need to do. If you have earlier version, just go to add-ons, search for Wrangler and activate it. It should be right there. You don't need to download that. So let's close this. And now with the Wrangler add-on active, I can hold Ctrl and Shift and click whatever node I can. And it will enable preview of that node right here in the viewport. And now I can choose, I want the inside, only local, and play with the distance. And I can get a result like this here. And then we can press Shift A and do a ramp, color ramp. And let's plug it right here. And you can see it's already plugged in our preview right here. So we can just compress this right there. And play with the distance a little bit more. Like that. And now let's press Shift A and let's use mix color, plug it right here, but plug it into the factor, and press Ctrl C, hovering over the green color here, plug it into the A, and then plug it right into the B as well, so we get the same color. But right now we can modify the top color, or if you have, inverted mask, you can do it vice versa. But right here, the A color should be the brighter one. So let's do brighter color here on the edges, like this. And now we can plug it into the base color and hold Ctrl and Shift and enable preview back to our principled shader. And this is what we got here. I think it's too yellow, so let's modify it more towards the green. And it really, gives a little bit more sophistication to the material. And now for the pot, we can create a new material and, for example, create like a wavy texture. So let's search for wave texture, hold Ctrl and Shift and click the pot. And this is already looking quite funky, but I like to add some distortion, and let's play with the scale so it's a little bit larger. And I want to do it along the Z-axis, like this. Maybe some detail. You can really get creative with this type of texturing. Yeah, quite like something like this. Okay. And now I'll press Shift A, do another ramp. And just bring this closer so we get a nice sharp mask like this. And then let's press Shift A, add mix color, plug it into the factor. And let's do like a little bit different colors. And let's plug this into the metallic as well. And let's plug this into the color and hold Ctrl Shift and enable principled again. And now we can go down with the roughness. You can see the silver is quite metallic right now, so we can maybe even go towards the gold a little bit, make it brighter. And we have a nice creative texture right away. And let's just color the dirt with, some dark color. It doesn't matter too much right here. So I'll just bring down the brightness, bring up the roughness, and maybe color it towards the brown a little bit, something like this. Okay, yeah, that should be it probably. For the background right here, I can do another creative texture. So let's do this material that we used for the pot, and let's just duplicate it. And instead of the wave texture, let's press X and delete it. Let's press Shift A. We're going to use noise. Hold Ctrl and Shift and enable the preview, and you can see it right here. So we're gonna need to go up with the scale and plug it into the color ramp. Let's preview the color ramp. So Ctrl Shift the color ramp, and here let's compress this quite a lot. So we get these nice dots here. Okay. And let's Ctrl Shift the principled shader. And here I'm going to invert this. So let's just do something like this. And now plug the same thing into the roughness. And I think we'll need to invert this. So let's press Shift A. Let's choose invert color, and plug it before the roughness. And this is what we get. We get these nice shiny spots on the background. And now we can play with the colors if you want. But I kind of like it like this. So yeah, that's how you quickly model a plant. Now it's all about the lighting. So we can make this, a little bit brighter if you want. Move it around, bring it lower, then press Shift D and Shift Z to move it on X and Y axis around the scene to create additional sources of light. You can color them, play around a little bit. Maybe bring one really close, make it a little bit weaker, and some strong color right here. And of course, you can modify this roughness if it's too shiny. And maybe I'll try something like a dark background here. So yeah, that's the quick stylized plan tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed this one. And again, if you did, please leave that like. And if you're new around here, hit that subscribe. Thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.